These are all the tools you're going to need. Do your brake pads and rotors. There are 30 tools here, not counting the brake pads and the rotors. First thing we're going to do is we're going to just take a hammer and tap these caliper bolts right here, the top and the bottom. Use a 13mm socket and a long ratchet. Let's do the top. Now you can switch to a smaller ratchet because you're in a tight spot. If this is stuck right here, grab an 18mm wrench, put that right behind here, and then you can get it off. Grab a flat tip screwdriver, and right here you can just pry off this caliper. There we go. Go back and forth. Place your caliper somewhere to the side. Let's get back the bungee cord. Let's get it back. Okay. Right there in the control arm. Just keep it. It's best not to have this dangling. You don't want to put any pressure on this caliper. Next, check these sliding glide pins. Very important. You want to make sure it can easily move back and forth like that. And in case mine does, if yours doesn't, you literally just pull them straight out, clean it, and you just put a little grease on it and put it back in. There we go. That's one. And let's grab this one. There we go. They came out very easily. These are the old brake pads. These are the clips that hold the brake pads. Grab the flat tip and kind of pry it off the brake pad from the clip. You're going to go slowly back and forth until there's some space in between. There we go. If by chance you can't get this off now, for whatever reason it's stuck, you could just remove this entire bracket first. You're going to have to do it anyway. And then remove it. But I just wanted to do it now. And now repeat on the other side. This brake pad was actually a lot harder for me to get off with the flat tip, so I couldn't do it. So I'm going to do that when I take off the bracket. Next, grab a hammer and hammer this bulb right here lightly. Same on the top. Grab an 18mm socket and a ratchet bar you have. The longer it is, the easier it is to get it off. Once you break it loose, you can then switch to a smaller handle, ratchet. Now that I cracked it loose, you can use a smaller ratchet. And go back and forth before you take it off completely, the screw. Now, if this was not easy to get off, you can put some PB Blaster on it first, and then use a cheater pipe or a leverage bar. You need as much strength really to push down to loosen these. Once you crack them loose, then you can use a smaller socket and ratchet. Okay, once you release the caliper bolts, you can just pull it straight off. I'm going to remove the remaining brake pad. Couldn't get it off before, so now I'm going to get it off. So take note right here. See this? This needs to go up and out. Not down, outwards. So I'm going to flip it on its back, like so. I'm going to take a mallet and just and it is out. Now that we've finished removing the brake pads from the holder and the caliper, now it's time to remove the rotor. You'll see 2 gray clips right here. You might have more, or you might not have any, but if you have any, you have to remove them first. So grab yourself a needle nose pliers and just bend it and pull it out. There, just so when I remove the rotor, it will hit this first, then I'll just yank it off and pull it off. Right here on the rotor, you're gonna just hammer it. A little bit here. And I did that just to free the rest. Now let's see. In case my rotor is seized, grab a torch. After heating it, grab a chisel, and you're gonna chisel in between each one of these grooves. Once you're done chiseling, then grab yourself a sledge. A hammer just won't do it. You're gonna hammer and hit here hard. You're gonna keep doing it. You might have to hit on the sides. And if you're getting rid of this rotor, you'll also tap on the side. Just don't hit this emergency brake thing right here. So you're gonna want to hit where you can see it, the rotor. Might have to give it a good wax and repeat the process. Yes, good, got it. That's why it's good to have these things here, or you could put one of these on, just so it doesn't fly off the rotor. Otherwise, that would have really hurt. But I got it. Plug. Let's pull this off. It was seized. Boy, look at all that. Once the rotor's off, spray some brake cleaner on the wheel hub, because we need to clean it up a little bit. Use a towel. And if you want to do a real thorough job, just put some brake cleaner on here and start scrubbing it with a toothbrush to get off as much old rust deposits. Then dry it. And use an air can. The one on the right is my old rotor, and the one on the left is my brand new one, of course. This one was 26.5 millimeter thickness, and this is the same. So you get a can of brake cleaner and spray your brand new rotor. Right. The reason why I'm cleaning the rotor is because sometimes there's a coat put on it, and we just want to remove that coat that they put on, and you do that by putting brake cleaner on. Okay, now I'm going to put on some anti-seize in between the lugs right here, and the reason for that is if you ever want to take your rotor off again in the future and you want it to be easy to get off, you're going to want this anti-seize. Otherwise you might have a hard time taking off your rotor in the future. You only need about one dip of this anti-seize, and we're going to literally paint it. Just putting the rotor on. Okay, there we go. Now it's time to remove the old clips on the brake pad holder. Just use a flat tip, they'll come out. There we go, almost got it. There we go. Same over here. Sandpaper, toothbrush, and this metal disc, and we're just gonna clean this. Sandpaper. The most important thing here is actually to sand right here where the brake pads are going to be going into, and that's where your new clips are going to go. When I tried installing the brake pads, I realized I have the wrong size. The ones I got on Amazon was this. Their filter is messed up, so really make sure you get the right brake pads for your car. This is a 2008 300 all-wheel drive. These are for the front. So specifically, you need, make sure you get the model number that says 1058. And there's clearly a difference. As you can see, these are the right ones. These do not fit the brake holder. And look at the difference. The meat on this one. Grab your brake pad clip or bracket or shim holder and just line it up. Do the other side. So really make sure this is pushed in. If not, you're going to have a hard time slipping that brake pad on. Really push that in all the way with flat tip on all four sides. Next, grab one of your brake pads and kind of wiggle or slide it into the slots of the brake holder. Quick note when putting these brake pads on, see that groove right there? You need to push it and then slide the other one on. There we go. You might have to grab a mallet and just hammer it in a little bit, lightly of course. Just a little bit. Repeat on the other side. This goes on the inside. That's what connects to the brake rotor. Another helpful tip, you can buy some grease or get some grease and It even says on here how to use the grease. Pretty much, you just pour some grease on here, just a little bit. You can use your finger or a glove and just smear it across the back plate and right there on the ears. And then in addition, on the clip or bracket, you'll put it right here in these grooves. And that will further help reduce noise and that kind of stuff. Okay, once you get the brake in, then you can add a little bit of right there. And do it on the other side. You're going to take a little bit of brake oil off because when you push the caliper piston back, the oil will pretty much rise and you don't want it to leak or spill. That's why you're going to remove this and take some oil out. Open up your brake reservoir and grab a syringe and just grab 2 ounces approximately. And put some paper towels here and leave the cap on. Next, grab a C-clamp or some kind of vise and either a piece of wood or your old brake pad in this case. We are going to compress the piston, and this is why it's important that we remove some oil. Other helpful tip, but this is 2 pistons, so when I compressed it, I put this clamp in the middle. And still couldn't get it on right away, so then I did each side to really push it in all the way, and that will make it a lot easier to just slide onto the brake pad. Okay, grab your brake holder with your brake pads on it, slide it on the rotor, and try to line it up with the bolts. Go ahead and squeeze the brake pads together with your hand. Now you're going to line up the brake pad holder and start threading it in by hand. And once you thread it in by hand, you can start using the socket to tighten it, make it a little faster. After you're done tightening that, we'll torque it very soon, the caliper bolts. First, we want to make sure these are nice and tight, the brake pads. Okay, now grab your torque wrench and torque it to 7 foot-pounds. Now do the top one. Grab your guide pins and just clean it real good. You can use Silk Glide or some other kind of grease. Put some grease on the pins. Smooth it out with your finger. Put a good amount of grease on it. Okay. Now put your caliper pillars in and just push it straight in. Now let's do the bottom one. There we go. There we go. Just wipe away the excess grease on the outside. And just make sure it pushes nice and easy, nice and well. Next, grab some Silk Glide. This is specifically for brake pads, and this really reduces the noise, as it says on the bottle. So just go ahead and squeeze some on here, on both sides, and smear it with your finger if you want. You do this on the other side. Remove the bungee cord, and then grab the caliper and slide it on. Okay, I had to slip it on, and I needed 2 hands to do it. The good news is the slide glide grease helps it slide on, but also very important to note, make sure your piston is fully retracted, because these are brand new brakes. They have to go back all the way because it has more thickness, more meat than your old ones did. Keep that in mind. Now we're going to upper bolts. You might have to slide the caliper into position to screw the bolt in. Okay, grab a 15mm socket and ratchet and start tightening it. As you can see, that is spinning right there, so I'll have to put my 18mm wrench back on it. 18mm wrench, 15mm socket. Torque it to 40 foot-pounds. Finally, remove lug nut. Spray some brake cleaner here. Put the tire back on and torque the wheel to 110 foot-pounds. Once you're done putting the tire back on and torquing it, so I'm just going to put 2 ounces back in. Make sure you pump the brakes many times until it feels nice and firm.